Welcome to The Long Game. Today's guest, Allie Eichner, is president of Continuum Companies, one of the most compelling voices shaping luxury waterfront development in Miami today. Her firm built the iconic Continuum Towers in South Beach, the gold standard for oceanfront living, and she's now leading the charge on Continuum Club and Residences in North Bay Village and several other waterfront developments across Miami. From boat in, boat out design to the 150,000 square foot Mermaid Club, Allie is doing it all. Allie, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So Allie, you grew up in Brooklyn. You grew up around an iconic real estate development father. Talk about the early days. Were you into real estate? Were you into other things? What did you pursue as a kid?
I was and remain quite an independent spirit. So, the minute that I could, I spent, every summer I was off doing something. I did French classes in Switzerland. I went on I was 12 years old and I did Tennis Europe. So
Yeah.
I literally went on a tennis touring trip where I was 12.
You played competitive tennis.
I did play competitive tennis.
And your dad is a competitive person.
Yes. And he signed me up for this trip, and I was turning 13 in
Okay.
the summer, so
Yeah.
I technically met the requirements.
He was throwing you into the deep end.
I mean, just a freaking meltdown. And he said, "Here's the deal." He's like, "Get on the plane, fly there, give it 24 hours."
He sent you by yourself.
He dropped me off at the airport.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he brought me to the airport.
Okay.
But he brought me to the airport
Yeah.
where everyone else was
Okay,
meeting.
got it.
So the idea was
Other people,
he
yeah.
thought that I would bond. He thought that I would bond and
Yeah.
that my natural personality, he thought very confident that
Yeah.
I would feel differently after 24 hours. So he was like, "Just get on the plane, 24 hours, hit with these people, just get on the court with them once. If after 24 hours, 48 hours, you still do not want to go on this trip, I will come pick you up."
Sounds like a great dad.
Yeah. And then he didn't hear from me for 4 days, to the point where he was calling. At the time, there were no cell phones. So he's calling the hostels, trying to find his, 12-year-old
Yeah.
daughter, and his wife. My mom was freaking out, and I loved everyone. I was playing tennis with the boys, and they never heard from me for the rest of the summer.
So was that a moment early on in your childhood where it was all right, this is a risk. This seems scary. I'm young. All these other players are older than me. And then you went and you're like, oh, wow, I'm actually having fun and enjoying this.
I think that the entire theme of my life, and my dad would say I was born this way. He would tell you that when I was 2 years old, I would, run to the top of the steps and say, "Catch me."
Yeah.
And he, not like, "Dad, are you watching? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to jump."
Yeah.
I would just run up and catch me. So I think that a little bit of that is ingrained in in who I am as a person. And I think he saw that early on and created a lot of, just one situation after another that kind of flexed that muscle. I mean, I moved to China. I mean, when I was, I graduated from the University of Pennsylvania and had
That's
a
right.
very fancy, perfect investment banking job lined up at Bank of America. I had done my internship
I worked
there.
at Bank of America in
Yeah.
investment banking.
And
You studied Eastern Asian
I studied
studies.
Eastern Asian languages and communication.
Yeah.
I was a double major in East Asian languages and civilization and communications with a minor in French. But my dad also was pretty rigorous about me having my financial, capabilities
Yep.
as well, even though I wasn't going to be a finance major of any kind. So, I mean, no
What
offense.
interested you in
China?
China?
I love to go left.
Left.
I thought about myself just doing what you're supposed to do, what everyone else was doing, and it kind of just made me want to die inside.
Yeah.
So I just love it. I'll just throw myself into the deep end, and I kind of just thought, well, I speak Mandarin. I had the choice to
At
go
what age did you start studying Mandarin?
college.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was
And you became fluent in college. That's impressive.
Well, I studied abroad there.
Yeah.
And I probably wasn't. No, I wasn't. I was conversational by the time I left college. But then I very strategically like placed myself like not in Shanghai, not in Beijing. Like I moved to Hangzhou, which is a city about 3 hours outside of Shanghai. So no one spoke any English. So you kind of just had to, that's the best way to learn is to be in a situation. Yes, to immerse yourself. So I feel like the China thing, I knew that I didn't want to do what I was supposed to do. I thought that I would learn a lot just of like strength of character. Like there's a lot of for me, strength of character.
A little rebellious.
I actually don't think it was about being rebellious because I actually thought that it was going. I meant it in a, when you're born with circumstances, when you have everything gifted and given to you, you lack grit.
Yeah.
And it can be really easy to
go on that path. Yeah.
And I wanted the grit. I think that growing up with my dad, I saw his grit and I was like, I'm going to need some of that.
Yeah.
So the China thing was more about putting me in a situation where my last name didn't matter.
Yeah.
I had grit was going to be required.
You were really going out on your own and in your own way, exploring yourself, developing your own self-confidence and exploring the world.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, it wasn't meant to be It was like, I want to be more like my dad.
Yeah.
And this is how
if you take the easy route,
which
was
take
there,
the easy route,
yeah,
you could call. I mean, the conservative route, the easy route. I mean, but you're never going to learn. How do you Roundup real estate development is risky business.
Yeah,
you got to have
it's hard.
It's hard, and you need to have. I mean, grit is it's this word, and we don't.
And the Eichners definitely have grit.
Yeah, but I acquired mine.
Yeah.
That wasn't, Bruce was born with it. I actually had to fight for it because I was actually given everything. I had infinite resources. I had access to everything.
So that's
like
really
this is a very different thing that I did. I wanted the grit. I don't know why. I don't know. I just thought that it was, I saw that was what made him successful.
Yeah.
And I wanted it.
Yeah.
And so I actively had to seek out ridiculous situations, like moving myself to China with not knowing a single person or having a job or having anything. I negotiated with my dad. That he was very big into negotiation. My entire life was a master class in negotiation. From the time I was like 7 years old, everything was a negotiation. So I had negotiated with him that I was going to be living in New York City, and you're only meant to spend a third of your salary on rent. And my mom wanted me to live like in a safe area. So I was going to spend a third of my salary on rent. And then he was going, whatever the delta was of a doorman building that my mom deemed acceptable, he was going to fund that, the delta. So the negotiation was, Dad, you were already agreeing to give me the delta. I am now choosing to go to a place where I can take that money and we've already talked about this.
Yeah.
We've already agreed. So you keep giving me that and I'm going to figure out a way to make the rest of it work. Deal?
You were negotiating, you were allocating resources, and you were investing in your future, in your grit, in your learning, in your worldly experiences.
Yeah, so I ended up staying there actually for about 3 years. So quite a long time.
Yeah.
I really, there was so much to learn. Honestly, I wouldn't have, Palm Tree Club Miami would not have happened if I didn't have my skill set from China. I mean, I ordered 3 shipping containers using my Mandarin and knowing, I know the manufacturer who does manufacturing for restoration hardware, like 10 phone calls, and because I met them when I was there.
This is an important lesson and a good lesson that in the long game, in business, in life, when you're developing skills, sometimes it's important to take the road less traveled.
Yes.
Go out into the world, go explore,
Yeah,
and you're
go-
going to pick up skills along the way that you're going to be able to use in the future.
100%. I mean, I don't think that, if you sit down and you're like, this is what I'm going to do and it's going to happen by this time and this time and this, I just think that, the road less traveled is just, you find skills and things that other people don't have because they took the road traveled.
Yeah.
So just inherently, you're going to develop a whole bunch of skills that other people don't have because they chose the easier way. I always choose the hard way. I think it's more interesting. I'm like,
As a developer, clearly. As developers, we're
as a
clearly
person,
choosing the
like,
hard
even
way.
like, I went hiking in Patagonia over New Year's, and it's like, do you want to take the 5-mile route or you want to or the 13-mile route? I'm like, I want to take the 13-mile route. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
It's in you.
Yeah,
It
I
goes
just
in
like
you.
I like the
grit.
grit. I like the grind. I think
challenge.
it's like it's more satisfying. It's
Absolutely.
like more interesting. Keeps me focused and excited.
Allie, you're also into fitness and
Very
health
into fitness.
and wellness,
Yes.
longevity. You guys are Continuum Companies incorporating a lot into your buildings. That started at a young age. You played tennis competitively, D1, and your first job out of college was not in real estate. It was in the health industry,
Yes.
the fitness industry.
Well, after I came back from China, I was like, okay, all right. You don't have a resume because nobody cares what you did in China. And I met, this is such an Allie story, such a Bruce Allie. So I met, like, somewhat randomly the CEO of Beachbody, a guy named Carl Eichner. He is still the CEO today. And I was like, you should hire me. He's like,
Yeah.
what are your credentials? Like,
Yeah.
I have no credentials.
Yeah.
But I'm very smart, and
Yeah.
I guarantee that whatever employees that you have working for you, I will do a better job. And he's like, I don't think I've ever met a more egotistical 24-year-old in my life. And I was like, it's only egotistical if I don't prove it to be true.
Right.
So we agreed that I would start with like a 6-month trial period, and then he promoted. I became the youngest, head of product development that the company had ever had. So,
You proved yourself.
I proved myself.
You had grit. You played competitive sports.
Yeah.
You were in China. You grew up in you had successful role models, and so yeah, you proved
I
yourself.
proved myself. I mean, it's hard to. You have an opportunity. Sometimes it's about, there was something opportunistic. I mean, how many times do you get chance to make an impression on like CEO of a company? You got 30 seconds. You got to say something kind of bold. Get them to pay attention. Otherwise, you're, going through HR the normal way. I mean, I didn't. I just thought that I should say something bold because
why not?
because why not? I mean, he could say no. What's
Yeah.
the worst that can happen here?
So things coming full circle. Beachbody, by the way, Beachbody was the producers of P90X, Tony Horton.
Yes.
It was a craze. This was like 2009, 2010.
The craze was like 2009 to 2000. That company went from, at the time that I was there, the craze had started, but it hadn't reached $1 billion business yet.
Yeah.
By the time I left, it was like a $4 billion business.
I was doing P90X back. I can still envision in my living room turning Tony Horton on, doing these exercises, muscle memory, not to do the same exercises
Yes.
the time. Like that was the whole thing,
Yes.
tricking your muscles.
First day that I met my husband, at the time I was not in real estate at all, and he's like, he was obsessed with Sean Teen, not Tony Horton,
Okay, yeah.
but he had like lost 25 pounds doing T25. He was just mesmerized by the fact that I had Tony Horton and Sean T like in my cell phone. He's like, show me your cell phone.
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, these guys were iconic.
Like, iconic.
Everyone. This was a movement.
Yeah, I mean, this was at the
Insanity.
time there was no
Yeah.
social media, so infomercials was like
The videos,
the
the
videos,
CDs.
the whole.
Yeah,
This was like
DVDs. Yeah.
and I was like in the
absolutely.
middle of it all
Yeah.
of all of it.
So you met your husband. He was impressed by your connections, your
Well,
your
he
role
just loved
here.
the fitness thing. He just
Yeah.
thought it was so cool. We have my husband and I have a 20-year age gap,
Mm-hmm.
and I had never dated anyone. I mean, 4 years older was the most I had ever dated. And my dad, for my whole life, was like, Alexandra, you are gonna need an older man to deal with you. You got like you're like, you got a lot going on. You're gonna need a man with some wisdom.
Yep.
And I ignored him, but he was right.
And you waited to get married, and
Yes.
and we talked a little bit about waiting to have kids.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. What did you learn in waiting, till you were at the age you are now and getting married, and then how are you guys thinking about kids?
Well, I have always been very career driven, so I always understood that prioritizing a relationship was not something that I was going to be interested in doing until I had, done enough in my career where I thought that I could be a good spouse. And so I had kind of immediately put myself into I'm not going to get married till after I'm 35 because I just 100% know that I'm just 100%, whatever the business is that I'm doing,
Right.
I just want to give it all I have. And I don't want to be a shitty spouse. So
Yeah.
I just, I understood that about
I
myself.
have the same philosophy. I waited till I was 40 to have kids, to get married.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to be the best version of myself so that I could support my family and not still be learning and figuring it out along the way. I mean, of course, we're still figuring it out at 40. But you have more real world experience.
Yeah.
You're more secure. You're more stable. You've seen a lot. You've done a lot. You know what you don't want.
Yes.
And you know what you want at that age.
Yeah. So I always knew that. And my mom had me when she was 41, and she still works today in our family business.
Yep.
So we're a bunch of very hardworking people who love what we do. And I think I just always knew that just like patience, and again, just like a place in my career. I mean, what's going on in our business right now. I mean, whether because we willed it into existence or because the universe is aligning, or I don't know what. The last 4 years of my life have been the craziest, most unhinged, magical, mystical, work experience that I could possibly ever have asked for. But I feel very aligned with the universe and my gut, and I just listen to my gut, and my gut has always told me that there was going to be a 4 in front of it before I felt ready to have kids.
Yeah.
So I'm 39, and we'll see if when I hit 40, I'm ready. But I will wait for the gut feeling.
That's really interesting, Allie, because I did not think about kids until one day when I was 39.
Yeah, but you're a guy and I'm a girl.
Right. It's a big difference.
I mean,
But
I have fertility.
You do, but you have babies on ice.
But I'm saying
Yeah.
but I'm saying you have to think about these
Right.
things because as a woman, you don't have men don't have to think about it. I started, preserving my fertility in my 20s.
Yeah.
And I'm still very much in my fertile years.
Yeah.
Like when we got married. I mean, still am now, frankly. And I don't know yet when I want to have kids, but I know that my ability to make healthy embryos decreases. So that's just a
Scientific human thing. Yeah.
It gives me the option to really sit where a guy gets to sit, which is freedom to decide whenever it makes sense. And so I think I just always wanted to put myself in that situation.
You were thoughtful about when you wanted to do it. You wanted to do it on your own time.
I just wanted to do it on I wanted maximum flexibility. And so it just always made sense to me to make embryos. Because it just removes the ticking clock that
Right.
kind of forces the hand of women, I feel, often to make decisions that they otherwise might not make.
And when you and your husband are ready, how do you plan to?
I will tell you, just so you can know how completely insane I am, I have told my husband and my friends that either
Okay.
either we're using a surrogate or so this actually really is on brand for me. Or
Okay.
I'm getting pregnant and I will have an unmedicated like childbirth like in like a field somewhere.
That's an option. Our friend just did that.
Yeah.
You like living life on hard mode, and for the
Yeah.
challenges and for
And the growth and I just think that the grit.
Yeah.
I just think there's something about it that is like just makes life so much more interesting.
that's very admirable.
It's just interesting.
Let's talk about your development pipeline.
Sure.
Let's talk about you first started in New York. You first started working with Continuum Companies in New York, and then and you guys have a very storied history here, building one of the most iconic twin towers, maybe not twin, but two towers in South Beach.
Yes.
And then you had a little bit of a 20-year break
Yes.
with breakup with Miami.
Well, I wouldn't call
Or
it a
pause,
breakup.
pause.
I think that my dad has always been very opportunistic, and
Yeah.
when I joined the business, for my sanity, and for my growth, I thought that it would make a lot of sense for him and I to separate so I basically just raised my hand. I was like, my husband is originally from Miami. His whole family is here. We love going there. Why don't you just let me go down there and I'll see if there's something that we can do.
Yeah.
And, part of that was, my husband's originally from Miami, so there was just a kind of a natural.
What year was this?
2020. It was yeah.
During COVID.
It was during COVID.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I was one of the ones traveling.
Yeah.
Like during COVID. And
I moved down to Miami from New York during COVID, 2
Yeah.
weeks in. Where did you start looking? Where did you start looking for deals?
There was a project that the first project that we've delivered, La Bahia in Bay Harbor, that was a project that we were circling, and I thought, you know what, like this is like an 8-story development,
Right.
and so I just have always looked for like little ways where I can put myself really in his shoes and
Yeah.
try to feel what
Yeah.
it feels like
Yeah.
to like,
to challenge yourself and build
yeah,
your
and
grit.
to know what it is to, development's a very funny business. Like you got teams of people. Like I'm on my dad's team. When you're the one, you got to make the decisions.
Yeah.
And you
the buck
have
stops with someone.
yeah. So that feeling of what would I do if you've got 10 consultants, they're all highly trained and they all telling you different things to do. No one ever agrees,
Right.
right? I mean,
Right.
you
Yeah,
must know this.
we're on these calls.
The
Yeah.
architect says one thing, the engineer, the interior
brand-
design,
the brand has a view.
Yeah, and you sit and you are supposed to be the ultimate arbiter
Yeah.
of what is best, taking as many factors into consideration as possible, and to actually have the skill set to like make those decisions, I think is, I think probably most projects probably fail quickest when there's too many partners, too many voices, not a clear, vision point, like not a person who's like, this is what we are doing.
Yeah.
I've heard all of you. This is what we're doing. So
You said let me spearhead La
let
Bahia.
me spearhead our re-entry into
Yeah.
South Florida, and let's see how we go. And then Florida became, the freaking, most competitive real estate market. I mean, I think it might have surpassed Dubai maybe recently.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it was number 2.
One of them in the world.
One of them
yeah.
in the world,
Yeah.
which is not where we started. And now here we are.
Yeah. It's exciting times to be
It's
in Miami.
exciting times, and I think that our business here is now bigger than the one in New York. Now Bruce is down here with me. I've learned enough. I've performed enough. I've proven myself enough
Yeah.
that
You've earned the respect.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
So that's and now we're doing.
And you guys have waterfront. Bruce has always had a great eye. Continuum's had a great eye for high quality projects, as you mentioned earlier, Allie, views, buying on the water. And I've told you this story when we met before. When I moved back to Miami from Tampa in the summer of 2023, a broker brought me a site in North Bay Village. And so I went, looked at the site, and it was on the water, amazing. And they told me right next door, Continuum Companies is taking their talents from South Beach to North Bay Village. And that gave me a lot of confidence in the market that a firm like yours was developing here in North Bay Village. You also had an impact, and you helped write the law in North Bay Village and on affordable housing. And you guys really worked with the county, or not the county, but with the city and the local government there to really improve, modify, make it sensible to develop in North Bay Village. And for all of us that are investing and developing and building in North Bay Village, we thank you guys for blazing that trail.
Yes.
So if you're developing in North Bay Village, Allie and her father were key and instrumental in that. What was that like?
For me, professionally, that law and then the subsequent rezoning of what is now called the Continuum Waterfront District. I read zoning code like for leisure. So I spoke at all the hearings. I did all the presentations. My zoning attorney, Chris Pinellas, who is an ace. I mean, the youngest. Surely he got a raise after all of that. But I think that my dad, and in New York, there's not a lot of flexibility. I mean, like the most you can do is a height variance in New York. But in South Florida, I mean, one of the fun things is, it's 34 different municipalities, and there's like a lot of room to really make things happen. So that, the difference between when we first bought the parcel versus then buying Shuckers, combining them together, and then having the opportunity to actually, have an impact on the zoning from the standpoint of the private sector. I mean, that is such a different position to be in, because it really, a neighborhood is not made by the number of residential towers that are coming. It's made by the commercial. You need things happening for a neighborhood to be a neighborhood.
You need the restaurants. You need the restaurants.
You need the stores. You need walkability. The
supermarket.
Yeah, you need the supermarket. Like all of these things are what will make North Bay Village it's what will have that neighborhood fully realized. I mean, it's the same thing with South of Fifth. I mean, when we went to South of Fifth, there was Joe Stonecrab. That was it. Everyone thought that Bruce was completely insane for, that the Art Deco district was viewed as the most premium. But I think the difference is it's not just about waterfront. I mean, yes, waterfront inherently will always be a safer investment than non-waterfront.
More desirable.
Safer,
prices.
more desirable, but also there's a scarcity component of it that just, when people talk about like, are we in a bubble? Are we, are we gonna pop the bubble? Like there are some things that never get old that are highly resilient, and waterfront is a highly resilient asset,
and it's scarce. It's a scarce asset.
It's a scarce asset. So, but what we look for is we don't just look for like waterfront. We want the scarcest asset that you can possibly have, the one of ones.
Yeah.
Our South Beach project is, it's the only gated property on the beachfront.
You have the height, You have the views, you have the location,
the
you
height.
have the gate,
Yeah,
you have the community.
But it's one of one.
Yeah.
It cannot be replicated,
Right.
which is why it has. I mean, it started at $800 a foot. It trades at $3,500 a foot today,
Yep.
and it's 20 years old.
Yep.
So we do fewer projects, and we really look not even really for neighborhoods. Like we look for like parcels where we can bring our unique skill set. Also, some others might describe it as our unique, our threshold for pain.
To be a developer, you have to have a threshold for pain.
Threshold for pain. We put a lot of our own equity into our deals, so we're not. I think that there's like a lot of heart and soul that goes into it, and we
have conviction,
in your projects. And it's just and we have to feel like if we just like chip away, that we can unlock, something that is the most scarce.
Yeah.
And so definitionally, it's category defining. Like so because it's hard, I'm sure what is luxury? Like what are we talking about? You got the brokers like you gotta have this, you gotta have that, it all kind of we're all in an arms race for the biggest amenity package, the fishes, all the
best
fishes,
brand, the most
whatever.
fitness, wellness.
Fishes get ripped out.
Yeah.
Okay. Like people do what is the thing that you can't change is it's like where you started. It's like, is your height different than the other people's height? Do you have some special kind of zoning that makes this property different? Private marina access and how you can actually get on the water. Water views is one thing. One of my issues with Brickell is that, I say this with respect, all the projects that claim that they're going to have boats, I bet.
Brickell has the retail and restaurants that you were talking about, which that brought a lot of people here.
Yes,
and it's
but
similar
from a
to
waterfront,
New York.
Yes. All I'm saying is that Brickell is a completely different story.
It's a different animal.
For a different buyer. Brickell and waterfront are not. If you want Brickell, urban core
Brickell.
Urban core is amazing. Like it's the Manhattan of South Beach. It has a huge value for that
demographic.
That wants that. The people, we're built for the people who want 187 days of sunshine, who want
go out on their boat,
who want a second home that like feels like a vacation. Like that was the original buyer.
Miami value proposition.
Yeah, like the original Miami value proposition. And I actually, post-COVID, people. I mean, I read this. UBS did a study recently.
Is Miami a bubble?
Oh, or you want to ask me that question?
No. That was the UBS
Oh,
report.
I was going to say a different UBS study.
They
but
put out another
we
one.
We can talk about that one.
I'm filming a video about this.
I have opinions.
I have opinions.
We can talk about it.
We can.
We can.
So UBS put out this study.
Yes.
It says Miami is the number one
bubble,
risk of a bubble market in the world.
Yes.
And these people are in Switzerland and looking at these different demographics, and they're comparing the average wages and the average prices of homes. And Miami is an international market with wealthy international people.
Yes.
And there was a comparison. It was like saying that ranking a Michelin star restaurant poorly because a high school student can't afford it. Like there's wealthy people that are going to go to these Michelin star restaurants.
Yes.
So their metrics were totally off.
Their metrics were off.
They had no population statistics, population growth statistics, or wealth.
And it was all based on sales price to rent ratio, which is it's not the correct.
No, they were trying to use a formula.
Yes.
To really apply this risk across the world.
Yes, but I do think that where they missed really is not understanding that Miami is a global buyer, and I think that that's just
Miami has protections after 2008, 2009. Miami has protections. we have 40% down, non-refundable buyer deposits. That's a huge commitment by the buyers.
Yes.
So these are not speculators.
Yes.
We have the construction lenders require 50% pre-sales.
Yep.
So they're not speculating.
Yep.
So there are healthy protections in the market that are not built on speculation and growth.
Yes.
And like you said, finite assets that truly hold their value.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, that wasn't even the study I was going to bring up, but yes.
Let's hear the study you were going to bring up.
So UBS did a study of the Century Club. So they took a survey of their wealthy. This is the largest survey that's ever been done of wealthy people. This is going to come back to to wellness and longevity.
Yeah.
And in that study, the people surveyed, if they had more than $50 million net worth, they would be willing to give up half their net worth for 10 more years of
life. To go back 10 years.
Of good quality life. These people, wealthy people, are expecting to live, if you ask them, many of them expect to live to be 100.
To be 100, yeah.
But it's not about the age, it's about the quality of life that you have.
Right.
And so this kind of, wellness and wealth and wellness have always been connected.
Health is wealth, and
Yes.
it's a term that has been said forever.
Yes.
But today in 2026, wealthy people and all people are really focused, especially wealthy, because they want to enjoy their life.
Yes.
They have all the luxuries.
Yes.
They worked hard. They've earned it. They have financial resources, so they want to live longer.
Yes.
Allie, Michael Rubin said the same thing. Similar thing is this report is that he was just on a podcast last week, and he said he's founder of Fanatics, billionaire, and he talks to a lot of his friends, and he said, would you give up your wealth to go back 10 years? And he said, I would do that in a heartbeat. He said, I love the game. And he's 53, and he would go back to 43. He would give up all of his billions and all of his wealth.
But that's because he loves the game.
He loves the game, but also time and your health are so important, and they're actually more important than money.
Yes.
They're more
But
important.
I would argue that you can extend the years that you feel in your prime of health. You don't have to go back. You
Right.
just have to find ways to extend. This is where wellness the rise of wellness
Yes.
is really about how can I extend the years that I feel happy and healthy, in good health. It's really not about what age you are. It's about what age you feel.
Right.
And so, my husband is almost 60 years old, and, he runs around the world he has to keep up with me.
Yeah.
And,
Hiking 13 miles in Patagonia.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he did that. For 5 days straight, by the way. I
That's
think
impressive.
So the thing that's interesting for me with the wellness concept is, I tie it to real estate in a way that I think is different than what maybe other developers are doing. This is not about an arms race of wellness amenities and what are you going to have
Who has
in
the
the
biggest
building?
gym? Yeah.
We can all do that. That's not really sufficient. The concept for Continuum 12,000 and the Mermaid Club was, back to this scarcity thing of, well, how can I take the real estate and maximize the real estate for the thing that is increasing, people are increasingly placing such a premium on, which is wellness. So how can I take 800 linear feet of waterfront and kind of the serenity of the location, Indian Creek, where the billionaire bunker is, and how can I take these foundational real estate things, we're east facing, the sun hits the building in a certain way. Like they're just things that you can't, it's not about the amenity package, it's the real estate.
Yeah.
And it's the activation of the waterfront.
The activation of the waterfront, the whole experience.
Yes, like we can all, like, yes, our gym is insane. It's gonna rival like an anatomy gym.
Yeah.
It's not a basic bitch.
Yeah.
I got my booty builder, equipment in there. Like I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be all of those things. But I think that there's probably a lot of projects that could say that as well. So, we really we don't do a lot of projects. This will be the last, I think that this will be the last Continuum project that we do in Miami. After that, we will take the brand worldwide.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
What markets are you thinking next?
Waterfront, premium, worldwide. Worldwide. Like
Europe?
Yeah. Like
South of France, Greece, Italy.
Yeah, we've had so many offers for I actually didn't quite really realize until recently how visible the Continuum brand was in Europe. But we're very, waterfront and wellness and, putting together projects that we're like, obviously the amenity package is going to be amazing. Obviously, the hospitality level of service has to be able to compete with the Four Seasons of the world. Otherwise, we cannot exist.
Yeah.
We're like the only branded residences that were created by developers.
Yeah.
So we're like, so it's always about it's always about the real estate. Everything else is like, we have to do that.
You have to start with the real estate.
But it's like the piece of dirt is like you can never make up for it, and
that's the starting point.
And then you have to do everything else right, obviously.
Yeah.
But but the thing that makes it like, in the end, 20 years later, why is Continuum South Beach sitting at its value? It's because the real estate can't be beat.
Allie, this is a great point, and I want to focus on this. As a real estate developer, and as a real estate as investors in general, our job is to predict the future.
Yeah.
And
so annoying.
we have to take risks, we have to take bets, we have to have vision.
Yes.
And your father, Continuum Companies, took that risk, made that bet, and it worked out successfully. And as you said, in the early days,
it was calculated though.
Oh no, it's not taking a reckless bet. It was a very calculated, strategic, location-driven prediction on where the future was heading.
And an understanding of a luxury buyer's mindset. The story that isn't well understood about South Beach is that what Bruce did, everyone else thought that it was a bet on a location. Bruce simply thought that this is a one-of-one piece of real estate, and I'm going to bring resort lifestyle, which is something that at the time, Ocean Avenue, the area that was considered the most premium, had height limitations, which also meant they had amenity limitations.
Yeah.
And so the prediction of the future was more about understanding the mindset of a luxury buyer and understanding that they would value more. Those are massive buildings with more. It was an amenity play, and it was a value proposition that you could be on the beach, have gate and privacy, which again is something that a luxury buyer values, and also have this resort style amenities. So you had proximity to South Beach, but it was more about like predicting what the mindset of the luxury buyer is, and unlocking like, what is this lifestyle that like they don't even know that they want. We know that our buyers, they are also looking for like value, like investment potential. Like we don't, the Continuum brand is inherently, unlike a Four Seasons where, they only go to like where it's established. Like they're never going to be the first mover, which means you're never going to get the value. Like
you have to capture the value. You have to create the value.
So we create the value, and we only do projects that have enough scale to absorb the hit. And it's a very specific strategy.
And you have 40 years of experience to evaluate and apply.
And I mean, I think probably the riskiest, once we're into market, I mean, for us, the riskiest thing that we do is take on entitlement risk. So the risk really sits with us.
Continuum takes the first step.
We take the first step. Once we have the entitlements, the strategy, the playbook's there.
Select the right location, lean into the real estate, create the value, think outside the box. It's a great story, great background, Allie. And as president of Continuum Companies, what advice do you have for those that are starting out in their career, they're in the middle of their career, maybe they want to get into real estate development, they took the road less traveled, they need to go get some grit. What advice do you have for those out there, those entrepreneurs, people that are listening?
And I just think you have to be bold and honest too. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times I sit, if you're new and you don't know something, just say that you don't know it and go and learn it.
Yeah.
Because
Take a humble approach.
Take the humble approach.
Yeah.
Like there's can't tell you the number of times that I sit in a meeting. I'm like, I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Right. Yep.
Could you please explain it? And you can't fake it. There's no faking it in this business. So like there's a lot to learn. It never ends. And just, my approach is, I don't know everything.
Right.
And
you're going to learn it along the way.
I'm going to learn it along the way. And I grew up with someone who has 40 years more experience than me. So humble is the only approach that one can take. And I just think if you're new and you're starting out and you don't know and you want to learn, like, be humble.
Be humble.
Be
bold.
Be bold.
Go get your grit if you don't have grit.
Yeah.
And be humble.
Yeah. Just ask questions.
Allie, this has been amazing. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for being on.
Thanks for having me.
The Long Game.